Hey everybody, call me Félix, and last time on our Boracay food trip, it was New Year's Eve, and we had a nice impromptu lunch at one of the marquee resorts of Station 1 of White Beach, the Lind, that consisted of a slew of solid pan-Asian food, such as seafood jampong, Thai beef salad, nasi goreng, and Singaporean fried chicken. Later that night, we spent our New Year's Eve at the Bar on Station 3, drinking a number of cocktails and a 10,000 peso bottle of Patron Tequila Añejo to bring in the new year with, and have a tragicomic good time for us unlovable losers. In this video, we pick ourselves off the barroom floor, mixed in with that special white sand off White Beach, and approach the new year of 2022 with not renewed optimism, but renewed hunger pangs. And unlike the last day of last year, we got to walk into the first meal of the new year at the Gastropub that was fully booked the day and year before, Los Indios Bravos, one of the hip spots for hearty Western-style gastropub fare and handcrafted Filipino craft beer. The name of this popular gastropub is taken from the pioneering Filipino intellectuals and warrior poets of the late 1800s, famously coined by Jose Rizal, who forged awareness of the unjust treatment the colonizing Spanish had imposed on the quote-unquote Indios, the derogatory term slapped on Filipinos in colonial times, and the moniker was in turn adopted as a badge of honor as the quote-unquote brave natives or Los Indios Bravos. You can see all kinds of photos of Los Indios Bravos, some of which many will find amusing as much as they are inspiring. As for the pub, Los Indios Bravos itself, it is not just renowned for gastropub fare and local craft beer, but also dino bones, massive slabs of US Angus beef back ribs, slathered on with hickory smoked barbecue sauce. But yours truly, however, was not in the mood for barbecue, but instead we opted for British pub favorites such as Cottage Pie and chicken tikka masala, as well as some of the loveliest lamb shank with loads of grana padano cheese. How did we find the hearty comfort pub food of Los Indios Bravos? Well, keep watching to find out. Okay, first meal of the new year of 2022. And I can kick this off with one of my favorite craft beers. And the boys are getting their iced coffee. We're having another late lunch, and this is really breakfast and lunch. I'm driven insane because, well, we had a bender last night, and I'm gonna have more craft beer. So, I've already reviewed Boondock Strong Ale, but that was in a can because of our friend Mike from Coffee Plus. Remember him in Ilocos? Yeah, I don't remember Ilocos anymore either. So, yeah, I already know what this tastes like, but this is the first time I'm having on draft. So, that head is dissipated a little bit. It's like 1.5 fingers head dissipating to about 1. Okay, here we go. It tastes a little more watered down than I remember it, and it tastes more like pale ale. Yeah. Is this a strong ale? It should be a little more ruby in color. I think I got something else. Uh-oh. I think they got the wrong beer, Warren.
Just a wrong beer? You picked a wrong beer?
I didn't pick the wrong beer, they did! Wrong? I don't know, it doesn't taste like strong ale to me. Oh well, whatever. Well, it tastes more like melon pale ale, but the malt is kind of... it's a little watery for me. Oh, that's right, they don't have Boondock Strong Ale, duh. Sorry, first senior moment of 2022. This is actually the local IPA. I don't know what brand it is. I think it's that they call a local IPA. I think it's like Katipunan IPA, something like that. All I remember was seeing that name there. Of course, you know what the Katipunan were, or who they were. Yeah. So yeah, this is more like IPA. Unfortunately, it doesn't have like that hoppy bitterness I like here. It tastes more like pale ale without any of the sharpness. And also that malty backbone's kind of watery or watered down. It's okay. Alright, first bite of 2022 for me is what they call classic onion soup. Now when I think of onion soup, I think of like French onion soup. But this is a little bit more unconventional. So you see here there's some bread instead. Now I think about like a dark brown, cola-like soup full of like beef broth and onions, caramelized onions. What you get here is more of a clearer white soup with a big island of bread here. And there's some Gruyere cheese, of course. You gotta put that, it's bog standard. And then some onions, of course. Onion soup. Let's try some of that broth then. There we go. For me, it's a little bit light. I want something like that rich beef stock instead. But there's some nice bits of Gruyere melted with that bread. That bread and Gruyere makes it feel heartier. Still wishing I had a little more of that richness of beef and like the caramelized onions. What I see more here are like some diced up green onions instead. So this is a lighter, trimmer version of a French onion soup. Not my favorite. But that's what it says on the tin as far as it adds some of that creaminess, nice Gruyere, of course. Some of that breadiness there from that bread. But, it's not as hearty as I'd like. I got a second one of these IPAs, which for me tastes a little bit watery. And these local IPAs, I should say. Doesn't have that sharpness from like, like the hoppy bitterness. It's lacking that. There's only like faint hints of that, and then there's not like a clean, crisp aftertaste. And then to not even really malty for me either. I miss Boondock Strong Ale. Okay. All right, everyone. We have a messe platter here. We have hummus. There's some baba ganoush here. Some tzatziki sauce. And some falafel. Been a while since I've had some Mediterranean food. One of my favorite cuisines. Okay, I'm gonna get some hummus here. I'm gonna stuff some falafel. And here we go. The falafel has some pretty good chickpea flavor. It doesn't feel too dense. It doesn't feel as fluffy as I would want it. But pretty decent. That pita bread's got some nice char there. The hummus is a little bit too creamy and smooth for me. You can see the consistency is not quite as lush and thick as I'd like it. Let me take a spoonful of this. For me, with a good hummus, I want it chunky with that chickpea. And get more of that natural chickpea flavor. That oil with that little bit of like sumac. Just like a teensy bit of sour, just a teensy bit of, spice. But for me, consistency-wise, not my favorite. Okay. I'm gonna dip some baba ganoush. Right, baba ganoush. Again, a little bit of emphasis really on the creaminess. But I want more of that eggplant flavor, that smooth, creamy vegetal taste. That little bit of earthiness there. It's lacking that. Not my favorite there. Okay, I'm gonna try some tzatziki sauce on my leftover pita and a falafel. Here we go. The tzatziki's lacking a little bit of twang. I want that little bit of that yogurt twang that's there. I like the little bits of like the fresh, greens and the pickles and just in there a little bit. But it's not really grabbing me with that tzatziki sauce. I really want someone with that twang. So a lot of these ingredients feel like these condiments feel a little muted for me. I have some of that salad. Yeah. Yeah, mezze platter, it's alright. And so far, the portion size I mean, this is a pub for crying out loud. This is, oh, it's one of those gastropubs that have hearty food, but the portions are a little bit slim. I mean, you see that soup? You see that? I feel ravenous today. So, probably bad timing. On another day, probably if I'm a little more full than usual, I would probably be okay with this, but Alright, everybody. Our main courses have arrived. Well, I'm still waiting on another one. I have here some glorious lamb shank with some risotto, and it smells so pungently of grana padano. But love this pungent musk of Parmesan cheese. Looks quite good. And there, Warren, of course, got some chicken tikka masala. There you go, with some chutney on the side, basmati plain rice with a nice bit of butter, and some yogurt sauce. Still waiting on Cousin Ben's cottage pie, because I can't wait. I love cottage pie, shepherd pie. But I'm gonna tear right into this lamb shank. Here's lamb shank. I think there's some sort of fruit jam here. I'm just going to smear this on. You can see the layers of skin just come off that meat. Ooh. Comes right off. There you go. And then it looks like there's a straw bit, and I wonder if there's a bit of bone marrow in there. Lovely, lovely bone marrow. Let's try. That's fine. Oh, okay.
We're very sorry for that.
No worries. Full house.
Be careful with the bowl.
Sure. Thank you. And that there is some cottage pie. Ooh. Lots of good stuff here. Alright, gonna have some of this. Nice bit of meat. I'm gonna have to cut this a little further. Well, I'm gonna just try the rice instead. That risotto. Looks like it has tomato-based broth. That risotto. It's a little bit north of al dente than I like it. But I'm glad that it's retained its shape. I really love the hits of Parmesan with that mild, just slightly sour tomato-based sauce. And those onions. Yeah. I really like that they did not skimp on the grana padano. That Parmesan cheese. And then I'm gonna cut some bigger cuts of lamb here. Carve myself a nice piece of meat here. I'm gonna get a little bit of that rice to go with it. There we go. That lamb is nicely cooked. I like that the gaminess is offset a little bit by that salt. There's like a nice salt flavor that's permeating through the meat. Not overbearing at all. Just the right amount. Right touch of salt. That takes that gaminess at bay. Really quite nice. And with that rice, just a nice dish all put together. I especially love the cheese. Anyway, this is the cottage pie. Now, of course, cottage pie is just basically... People get it wrong. Shepherd's pie is not beef. It's lamb. And they didn't have shepherd's pie today. And I love me a classic, hearty shepherd's pie, but this is a cottage pie. Loads of cheese, mashed potatoes on the top. Nice bits of scallion. There's a nice bit of charring there. And then I'm gonna try this filling out of beef. Some ground beef. Yeah. I don't see much in the way of peas though in there. But let's go. That's quite comforting. That beef I wish had a little more of like a jus, like you know how like there's like that gravy on the bottom that here. I wish it was a little more wet. Let's say. This ground beef's a little more. I wouldn't say dry. I'm not gonna say it's dry, but it's more like a mince, like or someone had pulled some meat and just put it in here. If that makes any sense, it's like a texture consistency between a pulled meat and a ground meat. But I wish there was more residual gravy there. I got more potato, cheese, richness. I think what would really complete it is that gravy. And better yet, if they actually had some gravy to put on top. That would do it. Maybe you gotta put a little more some Tabasco on it. Last of the mains I'm going to try is this. Chicken tikka masala. Well, loads of fried onions here. And some cream. That's a good piece. There you go. I was gonna say that salt was coming on strong, but then finishes and fades kind of gracefully. I love the lush gravy of that tikka masala though. Lush, not too acidic. It still has some earthy curry flavors like the cumin. I really like that. I'm gonna get some of this yogurt sauce here. Alright, there we go. I like the thickness of that masala as well. Bit of yogurt too. Adds a little bit of creaminess, a little tanginess. This is also good. So, main courses. The three here I got. Pretty delicious. I love the lamb shank and the chicken tikka masala almost equally. Maybe I'll give the nod to the masala just because the full flavor that's there. Cottage pie would be great if there was some residual gravy there. As it stands, it's pretty good. Alright. That's it for now. I want some dessert. Don't you want some dessert? Oh, you're clutching your stomach, Warren. That's not a good sign. Yeah, it's a little salty, but it doesn't really. It kind of fades though. I was gonna tell you that it's like, yeah, it's a bit too salty. It actually needs more of the yogurt. Yeah, with the basmati. Yeah. But that by itself though, that saltiness does fade. So, and it fades very gracefully. So I really like the main courses. Really good. Really good. That's ice cream. Hang on. Right. Why are you putting all the ice cream on mine? Or this half, okay. La la. Okay. I don't want to. Dessert, we're having a deep fried Mars bar. See that this batter's a little bit. Right. How is it, Warren?
It was chewy.
Chewy, yeah, it looks chewy. Let's have some of that. Ooh, I got some of that oozing chocolate. And then some of that ice cream. Lots of it. Here we go. That batter almost has a little bit of like has a vanilla taste already baked in there. It feels heartwarming, like baked goods. That's what I get mainly. And then the chocolate gushing out nicely. Feels like a fried eclair to me. We're going to use tempura batter on the outside because it has that airy crust. And of course, that deep fried candy bar generally doesn't disappoint. As cousin JP would probably say, given that he makes them. Yeah, the real Mars bar. Okay, Lauren, what did you think about your deep fried candy bar?
I like the chewiness, you know, and there's a little taste in it. With plus the cream, ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that.
The real Mars
yeah,
bar, right?
A good combination.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So what did you think about Los Indios Bravos as a whole? As the food and the service and everything?
Oh, servers like, they prioritize you as a customer.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
to be fair.
that's a compliment, right? And yeah, all the food here was good. Yeah, I really like the presentation, everything.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. Let me see. For me, I think like I was really nitpicky about the appetizers as far as the soup, and then didn't really taste like French onion soup for me. And then meze platter, the portion was really small, and then it didn't really taste like Mediterranean hummus. It's way too safe for me. But the main course is really delivered, and then the deep fried candy bar, well, I can't be satisfied with that. So I really love the ambiance. I love all the funky photos around the wall. So
I thought they were using a pancake butter, but it's not.
no, it looks like tempura batter.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, onwards and upwards then after this, guys. Next time on our Boracay food trip, we seek out another feature this island is known for. Fresh seafood. And if there's one grand place where you can find it and bargain for the freshest seafood, the wet market known simply as Di Talipapa, or I should say it once was the grand place for fresh seafood on Boracay. Or on my first trip to Boracay several years ago, the Di Talipapa had gone up in flames, and the wet market as I knew it then was an alley full of a few seafood vendors with makeshift tents. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. If it's a wet market, then why did it burn down? Well, silly jokes aside, we go and search for the Di Talipapa, only to find just one post on the alley selling huge spiny lobster, big tiger prawns, and mud crabs. Were we able to find the fabled Di Talipapa, arisen from the ashes at last, or did we just find one permanent stall on the alley, and what kind of deal did we get on super fresh seafood? All the answers and more on our next stop on our Boracay food trip. And so if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up as that helps a lot, and better yet, please subscribe for more food and travel videos such as this one. Until the next video, keep cool but care, and remember, the empire never ended.